Well, hello folks. So today we're looking at a 1963 Strat. I'll give her a play for you shortly so you can hear how she sounds, but she needs some new strings first, so while we're doing that we'll take her apart so we can have a good look at the insides. And most of the screws have been removed, so we can take a closer look now. You'll see there's a lot of wear on the fretboard. You might argue that it's pretty much worn through, to be honest, but it still plays really well, I have to say. I use this as my main gigging guitar for probably a couple of years, I guess, and it's seen me well. But I'm retiring her now, so I thought it'd just be nice to let you have a listen. In terms of the neck, it's a veneer, and I'll just show you down this end. It's a thin veneer because it's an early 63, 2nd of Feb 63, this one's dated, on a B width at the nut. So this was just after the slab boards, but amazingly, despite the wear, it hasn't gone through to the maple quite just yet. In terms of the rad, it's a 7 1/4 inch, and that's the same all the way down the neck. It wasn't really they didn't do compound radius or radii back then. So it's showing at about, give or take, about 7 1/4 inch, possibly even where the edges have rolled off, even tighter rad than that slightly. There's the clay dots, and you can see the lovely old Brazilian rosewood that would have been used back in the day. As I say, it's been refinned, so it's got a high gloss refin nitro on this, which is really nice. But it could do with toning down, I guess, because the Cluson Deluxe tuners there are, of course, noticeably more aged than the neck itself, given the fact that they've not been restored. So they look original, except for the fact that the neck looks a bit too clean. So we might address that at some point. But the neck is so slender on the 60 Strats. I mean, almost flat, and also the heel really nicely sort of chamfered, super smooth to play, absolute delight. So that's all there is to say, I think, on the neck. So next up we'll take a look at the body. There's a bit of a story with this. Very quickly, I bought it as a refin. It was black originally, and I'm not a massive fan of black Strats personally. I'd always wanted a early 60s Fiesta red one. So I bought it with a view to refinishing it myself, and decided that I didn't really want a red one, because if I had a red one, I wanted it to be an original Fiesta red from the 60s. So instead I decided if I was going to refinish it, I'll do it in any authentic colour. So I looked at the colour charts and opted for Sherwood Green Metallic, which is what I painted. It was my favourite colour that wasn't Fiesta Red, and in that way I kind of got the best of both worlds. It looked authentic, but it wasn't, in my view, a non-original red one, if that made sense. So I went ahead to start stripping off all the paint, and would you believe, underneath it was actually a Fiesta Red guitar originally. So perhaps I should have done it in red, but by which time I'd already bought all the proper colour matched Sherwood Green Metallic paint, and I'd kind of decided that was what I was going to do. So I went ahead and actually painted it green. So I've loosened the scratch plate so we can have a look, and you can see all the usual sort of telltale signs. There's a fair bit of wear around the truss rod adjustment, because of course with these you've got to kind of get in to adjust the truss rod more or less in situ. And there's a bit of damaging. There's a chip missing off the corner down there. Super sort of faded plastics, which contrasts with the scratch plate, which I kind of like. So if we lift it up very, very gently, as I say, this has been refinished, so the paint's in places that perhaps it wouldn't necessarily have been ordinarily. But anyway, here we go. So here's the black bobbin, pickups on there, and all the wiring is original, save for there's some really quite grim sort of solder joints there which I've left be, and they were done from the original refinish when the whole plate was just removed via those couple of connections. When I refinished it, I actually desoldered from the the output jack, so I didn't disrupt any more of these connections in there. But ultimately the original kind of the original switch wiring and the pots are all still there. And if I can get it to focus, they are dated, and the tone pots are dated 15th week of 63, and the volume pot is dated the 25th week of 63, and the vintage cloth wiring, etc., all ties in, and all those other connections are original. So that's all good to go. So electronically, she's absolutely correct. Sounds beautiful. And that's that. So I'll just put the electric safely away and show you the back of the guitar. Just a couple of quick things before we do turn it over. It's also worth mentioning that when you remove the screws, it's quite nice, the same as you do on vehicles really. Put them safely to one side and reinstate them in the place they came from, just in case there's any issues with the threads in one particular hole, or also the wear as well. You get a more natural wear. You can probably see that that one there is sort of grubby around that particular screw, for example. If the screws all go back in the wrong place, it kind of loses that that certain patina and that natural look. So just make sure you put them back where you got them from. Quite cool also, just meant to say, you can see where a previous owner has sort of inserted their picks, used this as a bit of a pick holder down there. So you've got that sort of call it damage, I guess, on the scratch plate. I just think it adds to the sort of the wear and tear and the natural patina for the guitar, so it doesn't worry me too much. I did say that everything was original under the hood. By that, sorry, I did mean to say the pots, the wiring, and the pickups, but the switch was replaced by a 5-way switch quite some years ago. I don't know exactly when, but given the age of the switch tip, and the general sort of aging and patina underneath, and the old solder joints, it must have been done sort of in the very early stages of this guitar's life, or at least as soon as the 5-ways came out. So just wanted to mention that. So let's have a look at the bridge. And the bridge is the old sort of bent steel saddle version, of course. I don't use a vibrato or tremolo arm on there, yeah, it's stable enough for me for what I play. So if we turn it over now, I just wanted to say, mumbling a bit here, but look at the actual contouring of these guitars is absolutely beautiful. Really contoured off on the arm contour at the back, and that waist, it's so slender, super slender, but really rounded off as well. So yeah, absolutely gorgeous. And you can see that kind of the wear since I've refinished it. Let's try and get it in the right light. Yeah, you can see, and I'm a gentle player, to be honest. I don't tend to have much in the way of belt buckles and keys and stuff like that, buttons on my kit when I'm playing. So this is just literally just sort of wear and tear from since I've been using it, since I even refinished it. So you can see why the nitro guitars tend to wear faster. And also, it's not just the paintwork. You might notice it actually even goes through into the wood as well. So I really like that. I think that's nice. And there's the back, the bridge and the trem claw. Nothing much else to add really, all sort of standard kit. The strings do look rather clean, and I'm sure they were replaced, more than likely replaced at some point. I don't know that for sure, but there's every likelihood. And that's kind of it really. So without further ado, we'll get her back together and plug her in.